from India and abroad. Welcome to this joint session with Madras Theosophical Federation and Pragya CS Studio. Now we are going live on YouTube, and I request Dr. Ramanujachari, please, to open our session and introduce our guest today. Thank you very much. Yes, Dr. Ramanujachari, whenever you want, you can start the session. Please.
We'll open the meeting.
Excuse me. Your audio is not coming very good. Oh, Dr. Ramanujachari, your audio is not coming very good. If you mind repeating, please.
We'll open the meeting. Are you able to hear?
Yeah, now your audio is okay. Yes. Now your audio is good. Yes.
Yes, universal invocation. Oh, hidden life, vibrant in every atom. Oh, hidden light shining in every creature. Oh, hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Good afternoon, everybody. I welcome all of you for this afternoon meeting sponsored by the Madras Theosophical Federation and Pragya Center. Today, we are very fortunate to have Ms. Clemice to speak to us on challenges of the 21st century. Clemice is from Brazil, and she studied administration and marketing in the colleges there. In many capacities, she worked in the Brazilian government. Among other things, she specialized in public goods administration, etc. I'm very happy to say that she was the first woman working in the integrated sanctuary, where the city is monitored and decisions about safety and disaster prevention are made in real time. And for the last 2 years, before coming to India, she was appointed as president of a committee responsible for investigating corruption in the police department in the capital of Brazil. This reminds me of Colonel Alcott's appointment by the American government in these days. I'm very happy that she has come to India in 2014 and started working here in the official capacity of the Theosophical Society. She became a member of the Theosophical Society in Brazil itself, and on study of the Theosophical literature, she realized that a new way of humanity lies within each one of us individually, and that a transformation in the world depends on individual transformation. And she moved to India, where she is now living since 2014. I welcome her and request her to deliver her talk. Ms. Clemice.
Thank you for the introduction, and good afternoon to everybody. And first of all, I would like to thank the Theosophical Madras Federation for inviting me to talk today. And I would like to say that I do not like very much this idea of somebody preaching or talking, like delivering a talk. But rather than that, maybe we can just consider some points about the topic. And since that will be time for question and answer, I think it is a good thing that we keep it as a conversation, not as somebody preaching or the all-knowing person. So keeping this in mind, I will start. And the topic today is a very, to me, it is a very vital one, because we entered in the completely new era with the advent of technology, or even before that, when we got electricity, the whole world started changing, and it really changed faster and faster. And now with the advent of technology, computer and artificial intelligence and all that, the speed is only increasing. So I feel it is really important that we consider certain points in order that we can live in this world that we are creating in a more efficient and more happy way. So the topic is the challenges of the 21st century. Humanity has always had many challenges since the beginning. So it is told. I gathered some data from the internet only for us to see how much the world is changing and how much it has changed. For instance, in 1800, the population of the world was not even 1 billion. It was 990 million people in the whole world. In 1900, it was 1 billion 600 million, around that. And then in 2000, it was already above 6 millions. And today, last year, 2020, it was above 7 billion. So the number of people in the world is growing, increasing tremendously. And most of it is because of technology. Before, there was not so much food available. And after the industrialization, they found ways to keep food in packets and created supermarkets and the whole world that we live in today. Food has become more available and the number of people has increased. Also, technology has discovered many ways. Medicine has improved and all those things. But the point here is, has our quality of life also improved? Are we having better lives, in the sense, are we safe? Are we more humane, or so to say? Technology also brought something else. Technology brought a lot of information. Today, if we enter the internet, suppose you Google any topic, you will get many sites giving you answers for almost everything. So information was never available like this. So this is the first time in human known history that we have so much information. So the point now is, what do we do with all this information? Are we mature to deal with this information? How are we dealing with it? And do we know how to use this? So that is the real question. So it seems to me that we are really more lost than ever. Because if we look worldwide, violence is increasing everywhere. There is the question of trust. With so much information, we also have a lot of misleading information, untrue being said all over. And nowadays, we don't even feel secure to trust any information that we find in the internet. So to navigate in the internet, one has to be really knowing which kind of site, what is the site that you can trust. So, and then there is the problem of the hackers. So many problems are there in this area of internet. And we really don't know the whole, what is behind the internet also. So the question is, what can we do and how can we live in a society that is more and more, how can I say, superficial? You know, people nowadays, internet also is a very good source of entertainment. During this pandemic, it has, so many things have come out because people also started to know more about internet because you cannot go anywhere, you are confined in your house. So you start exploring more. And it seems to me that, okay, it brings us together, like this meeting would not be happening if this was not there, the internet and all these things. But at the other hand, the other side of this coin is that we feel very comfortable because we don't have to leave our home, our comforts, and meet anybody. So it becomes, we become more and more superficial. Suppose when I have to travel to meet somebody, I have to put some effort, I have to let go some comforts and be somewhere to meet some people. That requires that I really want to do that. That requires some extra effort on my part. And that effort brings a sense of seriousness, because the moment you let go of certain things to be in a place, you better be serious about going there and being there. Otherwise, what's the point of leaving your house and your things? But now with the internet, you don't have to do that anymore. So superficiality is becoming more and more easy. And our mind likes that, because we really like to be spoon-fed. But I'm afraid that that's not the way that we will come about real transformations in ourselves. So the real challenge of this century is that even though all these things are there, internet is there, and all the technology is there, and so much entertainment for the mind is there, we remain focused. What is to be focused on? The focus is on our own self. The focus, not in a selfish way, but to understand what's going on. How do we feel about things? I'm not saying that we should shut ourselves at home or something like that, or that we should forget about internet. I'm saying that we have to learn how to deal with this. So there is another question for people who are trying to understand life and trying to explore into this spiritual world, which is when, for instance, for the Theosophical Society, when Theosophical Society was founded in 1875, which was way before the world was overpopulated, and way before we had all these technologies. Madame Blavatsky never saw a bulb, electricity, light. She used to work with candles. It was Annie Besant who brought electricity to Adyar. So the problems were completely different from what they are today. in those days. Today, the problems that we have to deal with have changed. The mind, the human mind has changed because of all this difference in outlook. In Blavatsky's time, or even in Annie Besant's time, you needed months to travel from one continent to another. You will be in ships and traveling. Nowadays, in 2 days, you cross the world. You catch a flight here, have some stop somewhere, and catch another flight, and you will be crossing the world in 1 or 2 days. And this affects human psyche, and this affects human mind. So nowadays, people are stressed, and the reason for that is because we have to deal with so much information. We have to deal with the speed of the world. We have to kind of catch up with that. We have to learn an absurd number of things which before was not needed. So the mind has to catch up with the changes that are going on outside. And that brings about the superficiality, because there is no time to sit quiet, to be with oneself. One has to rush up and down the whole day. And then when you have 5 minutes to sit down, you just want to rest. The body is so tired that you cannot really think much about things. So the challenge for us is to remain focused in what really is important in life. And then the question is, what is it that is really important in life? You know, many people will have many different answers for that. And that seems to be quite a personal thing. Each one has to find out what is important for him or for her. But if we look at it from a spiritual point of view, people who are in this quest for truth, for the spiritual quest, then it becomes different. So Blavatsky said to us in the preface of The Voice of the Silence, she says that without self-knowledge, nobody will give a willing ear to advices of a spiritual nature. So it seems to me that the first step is self-knowledge. But self-knowledge has been also something that has been misunderstood, and we don't really know what self-knowledge means. So, and again, this whole gamut of information that we find in the internet does not really help much in that, because self-knowledge is something that you will find in the quietness of your own self. It cannot be given to anybody through books. It cannot be given to anybody by others talking about it. If it was that easy, by now I think we would be quite different people. But it is not something that anybody can give to anybody. It is something that we really have to find out for ourselves. For each one has to walk his own way. So it seems to me that self-knowledge is the key for this. But now, since we are in this turmoil of this world, which is so full of distractions, it has never been like this before. So to keep focus and don't go with the waves of entertainment, which is not an easy thing to see them, because most of the time we don't see that we are being entertained. You know, the more we like being entertained, that means the more superficial we become. There has to be balance. It is not that somebody will sit and never look at any movie or no entertainment whatsoever. That's not the point, but there has to be balance. And to find that balance is the key. So what we really need, the real challenge of this 21st century, is that human beings awaken what we have latent in each one of us, which is real intelligence. You see, human beings like to say that we are intelligent. We are intelligent. But I don't know, this is a self-given title. We ourselves say that we ourselves are intelligent. And we think like that because we don't have measurement to compare. Maybe there is no other species in the world that can develop tools, that can develop technology. So we are the only ones. And because of that, we say we are intelligent. But that is something that is questionable. Because, of course, we created a lot of technology and we have created the jet and all these things. But at the same time, we are destroying everything we are touching. We are destroying what we really need for survival. We are destroying, we are polluting the rivers, we are polluting the air, we are polluting the earth with pesticides. So I would not call this an intelligent act. And if we look, why are we, and we don't seem to see the urgency of changing direction. We don't seem to realize the danger, the precipice to which we are running fast. So I would not say that we are intelligent. My feeling is that if you look the intelligence, what today they call artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is a robot which is programmed to do certain things. And now there are robots who can learn also. So as they learn by comparison, just like we do. They learn by experience, let's say so. So if we look at artificial intelligence and we look at the way we are acting in the world, we can just say that we also have artificial intelligence. We don't have real intelligence. Because real intelligence would be if we could see and avoid the kind of danger that we are creating to ourselves. But we cannot do that. In the same way as a computer cannot measure the danger of, suppose you program him to do something, it will just do it. It will not measure what is the danger involved in what he's doing. Because the computer cannot, it's completely blind out of that program. And are we not just the same? I know many people will say, no, but we have this, we have that, we have spirituality. And then the question is, what is spirituality after all? You know, spirituality, what people call spirituality and religion have not solved our problems. We have been having religion for how many years? And at the same time, we are still living in a violent world. We are still living in a world where people are starving, where there is poverty, where is this a huge gap between poverty and the poor and the rich. It has not solved our problems at all. So the challenge is, can we see this? Because we don't even seem to see it. We see it because we know about it by hearsay, but we don't really look at it. We don't see the consequences of it. We don't see the tragedy of it. We don't see the horror of it. We don't really see it. And maybe we don't see because we are not really willing to look, because we like to be entertained. Because it has become so ugly. that it really scares one to look at it. So we rather be entertained. And there are people who found that out and know that we like to be entertained. And nowadays we even have something called the entertainment industry. So the more we go for entertainment, the less we go inside. And human beings have always been projected outside. We think we will feel what we are looking for outside. We think we can change the world being the way we are. But it has not happened, and it won't happen, because the way we are is the problem itself. And the way we are is selfishness. I know many people will say no, but there are other things. You see, until we really know ourselves, until we understand ourselves, until we understand the process of the mind, whatever we say is just a way of running from the reality that we don't want to see, we don't like to see. And we have become quite clever in that, in running away, in avoiding what is really happening. So I would like to read a quote of Ramana Maharshi. Somebody asked him a question, and in answer to that question, he says, the world is not external. Because you identify yourself wrongly with the body, you see the world outside, and its pain becomes apparent to you. But they are not real. Seek the reality and get rid of this unreal feeling. Then the question continue asking, why did the self manifest in this miserable world? And Ramana says, in order that you may seek it, your eyes cannot see themselves. Place a mirror before them and they can see themselves. Similarly with creation, which means the external world is a projection of what is going on within us. The external world is just a mirror in which we can see ourselves. Ramana is not the only one saying that. Krishnamurti said the same thing. So, this century also brought fantastic things. This century also gave us teachers like Ramana Maharshi, teachers like Krishnamurti, Jai Krishnamurti. So the possibility, and because the mirror has become so evident and so big in front of us, it is almost impossible not to look. But the problem is that we think it has nothing to do with us. Whatever it is happening outside is something that we can fix. It is the same thing as the monkey looking in the mirror and wanting to fix his image in the mirror. And the next thing that is said is that Ramana and Krishnamurti said the same thing again, that there is nothing to fix. That even seems astonishing. So what is going on? What is happening if there is nothing to fix and the world is in such a mess? The problem is because we have been running away from everything. We have been either projecting things that we want things that we wish, things that ideal situations, ideal anything. And in this projection and in this wishing, we lose contact with what is, with reality, with the here and now, with what is really going on. So we lose touch with here and now, which is the only thing that we really, that is real, is the here and now. And we lose touch with it because we don't want to look at it. We want it to be different. We want it to be better. We want it to be brighter. We just don't accept it. We don't get in touch with it. So many people may say, what's wrong in wishing something better? It's not a question of being wrong. The question is, this better that we are wishing is just a projection of our own mind. And it won't happen. Many people say, oh, but there are many people who use thought power to project things and try to attract things. Fine. But all this is in the field of the mind. And all the problems in the world have been created in the field of the mind. So to really solve problems and not add to it, one has to go beyond the mind, which is the troublemaker. And that is also been said by Blavatsky herself. She says in The Voice of the Silence that the mind is the slayer of the real. Let the disciple slay the slayer. Which means our work is to stop the real to be killed. Which means we have to understand what's going on. We have to understand how the mind works in order to stop the troublemaker. And that is not, we cannot even stop it. It will stop by itself once it is seen. But as long as we don't see it, we can do whatever we like. We will be only adding to the present situation in the world. And now we have more and more people. Before there were 1 million, 2 million, 3 millions, billions. Now we have more than 7 billion people. So the responsibility of the people who are seeking spirituality, to me, it has become even greater, because not that we will change others, but the moment we stop ourselves from adding to the mess, then we are helping the world. The moment we stop ourselves from being one more adding, that is the real work that we can offer to the world. And how that affects others, it's a mystery. We don't really know how it is. And there was one person who asked Ramana, somebody went to him and asked him why Mahatmas don't help with the world which was in such a confusion. And he said, how do you know they are not helping? Their help is much bigger than anybody else who is doing. Because they act in the real, in the field of what is real. And we are like the monkey trying to fix the image in the mirror. So the challenge of this century for people who are in the search for spiritual understanding, for spiritual life, has become bigger, but at the same time has become easier, because there is so much reflecting, there is so much confusion, there are so many problems that it has become easier to see what we really are, the world that we are creating. Because today, whatever happens in any country, we will know. Before, that was not possible. Each one was living in his own corner and that's it. But today, whatever happens anywhere, we will know. And if we look what's happening everywhere, we will see it is just the same happening everywhere, which is people doing anything for granting what they wish, what they want. And they justify everything. When there is another quote of Ramana that I would like to read. Somebody asked him, what is your opinion about social reform? And Ramana said, self-reform automatically brings about social reform. Confine yourself to self-reform. Social reform will take care of itself. Because the moment you understand what's going on within you, you understand what's going on in the world. And at that moment, you will start acting differently. At that moment, you will be a compassionate being. Compassion does not come because somebody says it's important to be compassionate. Compassion is not something that will come because we like it. We would like to be compassionate. Compassion is something that is born in us. And it is born when we understand and when we understand and we go beyond the process of mind, which is the ego. There is no other way. We can talk about it endlessly. It won't happen. We can talk about being loving, caring, and all these things. It does not work like that. If it was to work like that, you see, Jesus Christ was the most wonderful, loving person. He told his followers, if somebody hits you in your right cheek, give the left. Christians have never done it. I don't know, maybe a few do. That may be quite possible. But we hear these things, but we don't listen. It does not happen because we repeat it, because we give talks and we tell others. There is another problem with us, which is whatever we read, we would like others to do. So we preach. And the mind is an interesting instrument. It believes that because I am talking about these things, I am already like that, which is not true. If that was the case, the priests in the church would be wonderful people. We very well know that's not how it is. People give talks, Buddhist monks give talks, they are not Buddha. Christian church has been preaching for more than 200 years. And we know what's going on there. Every day is a new scandal. So talk about things makes the mind feel, I have done my share. It's like going to the church Sunday morning. I have done my share. I have done my duty. The rest of the week, I just go on with life and forget all about till next Sunday. That's not how it is. Real loving kindness, real compassion is in day-to-day life, every minute, every instant, with everyone you meet. So Jesus did not judge. Buddha did not judge. Why do we think we can? Why do we think we can think that others are wrong and point fingers and tell them how to behave? Jesus did not do that. Buddha did not do that. Krishna did not do that when he was instructing Arjuna, there was a point where Arjuna asked Krishna, what shall I do? Tell me clearly, what shall I do? And I will do. Krishna did not say anything. Because we need to develop as human beings, we need to develop. In Theosophy, they say we need to develop the inner being, which is all, which shines through. And it is that inner being that is creating this world. It is the projection of what we have inside is being projected outside, and that is creating this world. So we have to develop that. And to develop that, we have to exercise our capacities, which is our mental capacities. We have to understand. If I hear somebody saying something like, if suppose I have the good fortune to sit in front of Christ or Buddha and hear them saying about love and kindness, will that make me a loving, kind person? We hear many stories of people who have lived with them and it did not happen to them. In Christ, we have the story of Judas, which is said, we said that he did not, he was the one who gave Christ to those people who crucify him, sold him. That's how they say it. So this person has not understood, and he was living with him every day. Buddha has his cousin who many times tried to kill him till the end of his life. So this person did not understand, and he was sitting with him. They were with them. So to hear say will not do. We have to see it. We have to understand. So the challenge of this century is for each one. It is not about changing the world, because we don't even understand what this world is. We may have lots of theories, but they are just theories. We don't really understand what this world really is. So the challenge of this century is not different from the challenge that humanity always had, which is know thyself. So with this being said, I would like just to share a story. When I was working still in Brazil, one day I was asked to give an interview because there was going to be a big event in the city, and we were taking care of the security and all those things. So I was asked to give an interview to the TV to explain about, and it was live stream. So everybody left and I stayed behind, and it was already dark, and they came and they put the TV outside, and as the journal, the news was going on in the TV, we were also watching because they need to know what is the time to go in and all these things. So I was watching the news. So in that news, there was story of a couple with 2 kids who came from another state, and they came to take care of a house, poor people. They came to take care of a countryside house. And after some time they were there, one day, the wife, the neighbors did not see the wife anymore. So they asked the husband, what happened? Where is she? And he said, she left. So they say, oh, I'm so sorry. And the kids were there. So a neighbor, a woman, decided to bring food for the kids and all these things. So one day she came and gave to the girl who was 6 years old, and she gave the food to the girl, and And the girl said, you know, auntie, the other day, my father beat my mother till she slept. When she was sleeping, he put her under the bed. And then at night, he put her in the well. So the neighbor rushed home and she was called the police, and they came, they found the body in the well and all this. So he had killed her. So the story goes that the police came, arrested the man, took the kids to a institution for kids who have no family. So when I saw that news and everybody was happy because the man was arrested, I was shocked, because the question is, who committed the biggest crime? Was it that man who was an illiterate man, no education? I don't know, maybe he had habit of drinking, I don't know the details. Or was it the government taking those two kids who were already terribly traumatized to these institutions? We know what happens in those institutions, at least in that country. I don't know in other countries, but there we know. It's not a place to send anybody. So this is the way we solve problems. And we are happy. We never think it through. Those things are just news in TV for us. We never think about what is this justice? Again, it doesn't seem to me that this is showing that we are intelligent, because those kids will grow and they will become a social problem. So we are thinking we are solving our problems, but we are just increasing them. And we can see this because we don't think anything through. We want solutions. We want to put the men away, and we are happy saying justice was done. So the challenge of this century is that we awaken some intelligence in us to do things different, to be different. But to be different, first we have to understand what we are. Because this lack of understanding, this ignorance is the problem. There is no other problem. So with this being said, I think we can open for questions if there are any.
Thank you, Sister Clemice, for such a deep and thought-provoking share on this really a very important subject, which is important for all the listeners, at least, who are here. And coincidentally, the three talks that I have attended today, the essence of all of them were self-reform is the source of social reform and not the other way around. So all the brothers and sisters, if you have any questions or any comments or any statements to make, you can unmute yourself and do now. But before that, I would request Dr. N.C. Ramanujachari to make some comments or his takeaways from this. Dr. Ramanujachari, you would like to say something? Dr. Ramanujachari, please unmute yourself. Yeah, unmute yourself, sir. Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes. First of all, I'm thankful to Mrs. Clemice Petter for the beautiful talk she gave on the challenges of the day. She traced the situation from the 19th century to the 21st century. And remarkably said, there is overpopulation and also technological explosion these days. But the man has forgotten to make his life more happy and more better. For persons, for reasons that he is not able to look to himself. She reminded us about man, know thyself. That is the ancient saying, know thyself. Because you have to be thyself. Knowing is not enough. She very rightly pointed out there is always a difference or distinction between practice and precept of the people. If one becomes capable of looking into himself and seeing the reason for the poverty or unemployment or whatever problem we think we face, he will know the solution for himself. And as I said already in the introduction, self-transformation is the key for everything. One has to become capable of looking into himself and find out the solution. Because solutions come from within. Don't look to somebody else for the solution. And she very rightly pointed out that the inner being has to be very clean, clear, fresh, and ever new. And unless that is in such situation, it will not be able to give the right solution to the problems man faces. I once again thank her. And I would request her to answer the questions that may come up now from our readers or audience, whatever you call them.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ramanujacharya, for your comments. We have a couple of questions. First, Brother Selvarathinam wants to, he has raised his hand. Brother Selvarathinam ji, kindly go ahead.
First, let me thank Clemice Petter for a wonderful session on making the importance of oneself. Yeah, I would say I learned things like to remain focused is the biggest challenge in this century. Though we have a technological advancement, to remain focused on what we are doing is the biggest challenge. I agree with that. And also the purpose of living, also she mentioned, it is very true in today's world, knowing the purpose and self-knowledge. That is to find ourselves, who we are. That is also very, how do you say, challenging in today's world. And finding the balance, as Ravachar is also told, finding the balance is the key. That is also, how do you say, important factor in knowing the challenges of today's world. In the self-given time, how we are going to be different is, again, it's not something new, but you see, reiterated that. We have to understand who we are. That I believe this is the very strongest point we need to emphasize to the world, I would say. First to oneself. As he said, self-reform is the better thing for have a very good social reform. Undeniable statement. Who we are, that is what we have to understand to be different in this world. But because of the different levels of life, understanding who we are and what we are might be a very, how do you say, different or a difficult thing for uneducated or people like us who are always gathering and trying to share our knowledge and gather more information and live a life peacefully. So, as a Theosophical Society, how we are making people understanding that how they are going to be different. That's what I see as a big challenge. That's what I wanted to say also. How to make the global, whole world understand that they have to understand themselves. That itself is a big challenge, which is what I derived from her speech. Today's speech, what I derived as a key takeaway is making this world to understand how we are going to be different by understanding ourselves. That's going to be a big challenge. That's what I believe as a big challenge in front of us. Well, thank you for the opportunity. And I once again thank Clemice Better for mind-blowing speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Selva, for your inputs. We have a question, Clemens, for you here by Brother Balaji Narayan Swami. He has put it in the chat. He asked that we need to change ourselves. Please give the role of will and wisdom in spirituality if we cannot change the world.
See, the question is not about changing ourselves. The question is about understanding ourselves. We always want to do something, and that has been the problem. So the question is, can we understand ourselves? Can we understand what we are doing? Can we look at what we are doing? Can we understand our motives? Can we look at our motives? Can we look at our violence? No need to change. Then immediately we want to be non-violent. But this is again a projection. We are not in touch, and this wanting to be non-violence is a way of running from violence. The fact is we are violent. We may suppress it and for 2, 3, 10 years not be violent, but one day, depending on the situation, the pressure of the situation, and the whole thing will come up because it is in there. So can we look at it and can we be aware of it? That is the question. It is not about changing, because those things are there because we never look at them. And they keep on gathering. So the moment we look at it, something happens at that moment. So the change comes from attention, from the act of attention, from the miracle of attention, I would even say. So the change is not something that we can do, that we can bring about. It will happen, it will come naturally.
Thank you, Sister Clemice, for your reply. And thank you, Balaji, for your question. We have some comments here by Sister Rekha Nahar from Philippines. Indeed, a thought-provoking talk. Thank you very much, Sister Clemice. Thank you also for the organizers for this event. And we have received one question through WhatsApp from Dr. R.J. Kalpana, who was one of the speakers in this program, I think in July. She has said, a very well-informed talk by Sister Clemice. Know thyself is a statement that calls for responsibility of a person. And at the same time, to blame government at the end of a speech is a contradiction. My question is, isn't technology advances and a better quality of life, so-called, is merely an illusion, and to romanticize the past is equally delusional? It's quite long. Do you want me to read it again?
No. See, when I said that story, I did not blame the government, because who is the government? I'm talking about ourselves. I'm talking about me, about you. For us, it is like that. The government is just the reflection of what we agree with them. Somehow silently within us, we agree with them. So the government is not to be blamed. Nobody, there is nobody to be blamed. The only one to be blamed is ignorance. And that ignorance is the ignorance of ourselves. What I said when I said that story is that we need to look at things and not just let them pass by. And the other thing, what was that, Shikar, please? She said something.
She said, my question is, isn't technology advances and a better quality of so-called life is merely an illusion, and to romanticize the past is equally delusional?
Yeah, see, the whole thing is not about the past or about the present or the future. The whole thing is that in the past there were less people, but ignorance was also there. In the present there are more people, ignorance is also there. And it seems in the future there will be even more because the number is just increasing. So the whole idea is not about romanticize the past, say that there was no problem. There were problems. There has been war all over the world since humanity exists. So there has always been problem. Violence, human history is the history of violence. So there has been problem. And I don't know about better life because of technology, because okay, we have better bathrooms, we have electricity, we have AC, we have refrigerator, we have all those things. But at the same time, we also have nuclear weapons, which are a threat over our heads. And technology, it is just a tool. It depends. The way it is going to be used depends on the mind behind using it. So with all this technology that we have today, we also got terrorism. And they are also using it.
Thank you.
May I add something, Mr. Sikka?
Yes, Brother Selva. Yes, please.
Yeah. Coming to the question recently raised by about technology, Clemice Potter explained very clearly about the ignorance. That is ignorance of individuals or ignorance of the things happening around them. I also want to add about our perception. Definitely, technology is allowing us to live in the society and remain as individual as we are. That is true. Now, when we are speaking on this forum, this is a technology. It is not an illusion. It's a real thing happening between us right now. Okay. The perception could be it is an illusion, but I'm not saying it's wrong. It is her perception. And as she mentioned, Clemice mentioned, entertainment is taking much of our time. We believe something come new, it is an entertainment. It is a perception. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is ignorance, attention, and perception play a lot of role in shaping ourselves. So in today's technological world, everything is available. What you give attention, what you ignore, or what you perceive is one's own call. So there is no definite answer for whether it's illusion or delusion or present or past or future. Okay, it's the way you look at it and make use of for yourself to understand who you are. That's what I am trying to explain here. So there is no definite answer is what I am trying to say. You can derive your own answer, and I can give my own answer, or Clemice Potter might give one answer, Sikar might give his own answer. But as a person, as oneself, we have to understand what it is. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Selva. Yes, I think the space for discussion gives everyone a chance to think more, because everybody has to actually find their own answers from within. And that's why this discussion creates a space so that everybody can exercise their minds and go deeper and deeper to find out the answers for themselves. Thank you. And we have one more question, Sister Clemice, from Brother Pradeep Kumar. He says, you talked about population growth. Is it a problem or opportunity? Isn't problem that exploitation of wealth and opportunities by few? But he is saying that population growth is not a problem, maybe an opportunity, but the real problem is exploitation of wealth and opportunities by few.
Okay. See, this problem of exploitation has been there since the beginning of known history. So we exploit others because we feel separate from them. And there are many ways of exploitation. It is not only economical exploitation. There are many ways of exploring people. So the whole thing is, we are not trying here to fix the problems of the world. We are here trying to understand our own self. And as I said in the talk, the world is the projection of what we are. There is no, but we think it is different from me. I feel I am very different, not I, but one feels very different from the whole world. We feel this is me and this is the world. It is not like that. So that's why the whole problem of exploitation comes with the problem of this feeling of separation from others. The moment you don't have this feeling of separation, when you don't feel this, I am separate from others, the person will be incapable of hurting, the person will be incapable of exploiting or any, that also, the moment we have this feeling of unity, of non-separation, that moment there will be no separation between the rich or the poor for us. We won't treat a rich person different from what we treat a servant. So all this comes because we have this feeling of separation. So there is no way this will go away. And I'm afraid that with all this technology, the direction technology is taking, this gap is just growing, because we are still the same human beings. The only difference is that now we have all this technology. And we have always, human history shows that humanity has always used everything to dominate the weaker, to exploit. And now it won't be different unless we change. So the responsibility of change is immense now. And there is another thing that I would like to share just quickly. Krishnamurti said that it is extremely important that at least a group of people are serious in this quest. And he also says that this group of people, if they are serious, if they are not selfish, they protect the society in which they live. And he also says that maybe that is the reason why India has been protected and is 5 years or even more old, which other continents are not. So the responsibility of those who can see, who are interested in this kind of question, is really, now it is really important that we get serious about it.
Thank you, Sister Clemice, for your answer. And we are now coming to the end of this session. And is there anyone more who would like to ask any questions? Otherwise, we proceed for closing. Okay, so there is nobody for any more questions. Before we do the closing, request from Brother S. Ramanji. Ramanji, do you have any announcements to make?
No, I mean, I don't have any specific announcements.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so in case there is one sharing.
the thing is that Clemice had spoken to us about the challenges of the 21st century, and the challenges are technology driven, and we face new challenges, and the problems which we face are different, and one has to catch up with the changes which is happening every day. And she had also made a mention that philosophy and spirituality and religion have not solved our problems. And she had quoted Ramana Maharshi in this context, that there is only the individual self, that the individuals are really here and now. And she also stated that for changing the world, it is essential for a person to be different and realize what we are. I once again thank Clemice Petter for her talk.
Thank you, Sister Clemice, on behalf of Madras Theosophical Federation and Pragya CS Studio for your thought-provoking and inspiring talk. And we thank all our brothers and sisters, the participants who joined from all over the world to attend this session and make it a vital session by question and answers. And before we close, a couple of announcements. As you know, 1st October is the birthday of Dr. Annie Besant. So in her memory, not on 1st October, but we have the coming next Saturday on 25th September. This is a special program and different time, so please make note. 25th September, 10:30 Indian Standard Time is a talk by Brother Pedro Oliveira, who is from TS Australia, on Annie Besant in India. And then the next day, on 26th September, that is next Sunday, 5 p.m., same time, is a talk by Sister Rekha Nahar from TS in Philippines, the title of which is Bridging Our Differences, an Impossible Dream. And now let us come together and use all our will power and thought power and pray for the welfare of all the beings in this manifestation. Oh. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you next Saturday, 10:30 a.m. with Brother Pedro's talk. Thank you, Sister Clemice, once again, and